Hi everyone, happy winter solstice. I hope this time is treating you well. Some of you might have seen my community post yesterday. I was saying how I was feeling kind of meh, kind of all over the place, discombobulated. Can't really get a handle of my to-do list. It's just growing and growing. And I just want to hide under the covers, which I did yesterday. But today I'm feeling a lot better. Part of it is to do with Jupiter moving into Aries today, but also a part of it is your support that you left in the comments, your positive energy, as well as those of you who commiserated with me. You know, it's always nice to feel like you're not alone when you can't get a handle of your own life. You know, and you realize that there's others out there who feel the same as you, and it's not an anomaly, it's just a part of being a human. So thank you for all of you who shared your support and your energy there. So the winter solstice, this is an interesting one because we do have Jupiter moving into Aries at the same time. So Aries is all about determination, passion, willpower, assertiveness, drive. So depending on where it's happening in your birth chart, hopefully you feel that positive push of energy. It's happening in my 6th house, which is about daily routines, work obligations, and health. So this is probably why I'm feeling like the to-do list is manageable at this point. So have a look and see where it's happening for you and kind of keep track of that energy. So the winter solstice is the longest night of the year if you're in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, then it's your summer solstice, which is the peak of light, a beautiful time. But the winter solstice is very mysterious. It's very seductive in some ways. It enchants you to go within and find out all those kind of darker places within yourself. So it's not a time to be fearful of the dark. It's a time to embrace the dark. Because of course, it being the longest night of the year, it's the most time you will have spent in the dark this year. Symbolically, this is so good for shadow work. So find those places that are still hidden within you, tucked away, those aspects of yourself that you've kept in the shadow that maybe still need to be healed, or maybe you just need to acknowledge them and honor them. And we can integrate them at this time, work with that. It's not easy, but energetically, you're supported to do that right now with the winter solstice. It's also a time to honor the energy of death by letting things go. You know, really embrace that winter energy. Let everything decay that needs to decay so that you can open up that space for when the spring comes and you want new things to grow. So let go, do some shadow work, and embrace that Aries energy that you're going to feel as well. You might feel extra determined to do shadow work. Don't push yourself though. Don't go too hard. You can only go as much as you can, okay? So if you feel like, I can't do this shadow work, it's just too much, it's too scary, it hurts too much, then just don't do it, you know? Be kind to yourself and come back to that place when you need to. Now, shadow work is just like a lifelong thing. It's not something that we do once. It's an ongoing process. So trust me when I say your shadow's not going anywhere. It will be there when you want to come back to it. Okay, but the reason why it's important to think about it at the winter solstice and at the time in which Jupiter is entering Aries is because Aries can also be about ego. You know, it's the first house. It's our projected self. It's the way other people perceive us. It's our persona. So in a lot of ways, it's about ego. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So it's possible that our egos could be expanding at this time. And there's nothing wrong with ego and persona as long as they're healthy. But when they operate from the shadow, things can kind of get icky. We can start self-sabotaging or see things in a skewed way, not have the greatest perspective on things. So it's a real good time to get to know ourselves and how we see the world, ourselves, others. How are we operating? What is our ego doing? Is it serving us? Is it not serving us? So that's what the winter solstice is about for me, at least how I'm feeling the energy right now. So I wanted to share that with you. The other thing that happened is I was going to do a whole reading on the winter solstice with winter solstice type themes, But I took a Neptunian nap yesterday, meaning that I got a bright idea when I woke up, at least I thought it was bright, coming from Neptune, a download, if you will, to do a reading on the stories we tell ourselves. So we all tell each other and ourselves stories. You know, we provide meaning and context to our reality to make sense of what's going on in our world. And so the stories we tell ourselves could be, you know, what we deserve, what we don't deserve, who somebody is to us, what they did to us, where we're going in life, the things we're good at, the things we're not good at. All of these things are stories, right? They're built on information that we're given or that we've learned, we've picked up somewhere. Sometimes the stories that we tell ourselves are coming from a wounded aspect within, a shadow aspect that wants to tell us a darker tale. And sometimes our stories are really beautiful. So we're going to look at the story that you tell yourself today. That would be really interesting to do that. It's kind of like shadowy type of work. Well, everything can be if you want. So that's what we're doing. We're going to pull 3 cards and you can choose your group, choose your story, choose your own adventure came out in a previous collective reading. And that's a good way to think about your life as well. Choose your story, choose your own adventure. You can change your story. You can rewrite your story. The other thing I was thinking about when it comes to stories is just the general question of, for all of us, is do we find stories? Do stories find us and we lose ourselves in them? Or do we write our own stories? And when I was thinking about that question, I thought about tarot, and tarot is all about telling stories, right? We lay out the cards, we see the story, your energetic story, right? So when you watch tarot, are you finding stories and immersing yourself in them? Or are you writing your own story when you watch tarot? It really should be the latter. You really should be picking up the parts that work for you, which is essentially meaning write your own story with the energy or the themes or the characters or the plot lines that the readers are giving you. Take the different parts and write your own story with that, right? Don't get lost in someone else's story, whether that's the tarot reader's story or maybe somebody else who's watching, it's their story. Really use your discernment about how you want to draft your book of your own life. Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's see what's going on here. I'm going to pull out a few different things for each group, and then I'll take a picture so that you can pause the video and meditate on the cards or whatever you want to do. For me, typically, the right pile is usually the one my eye goes to first and kind of keeps getting pulled over there. I'm just going to put them all face down so you can go by the stone or just, end your intuition. Okay, so the first group is this jagged piece of black obsidian. The second group is this black cat obsidian. And the third group is the lava stone. So let's pull out a card for each. Let's start here. Let's pull out a card for each. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take a picture and then I'll see you in the groups. Okay, group 1, let's see what cards we have for you with this jagged obsidian stone. Ooh, we got a warning. We got a warning with strength. Okay, so we'll take this as kind of the overall energy for the reading. I feel like I don't want to say too much until I pull out the rest of the cards. So let's get them out on the table and then we'll see how this ties in. I should say that obsidian is a protective stone. Okay, it's one that absorbs negative energies, toxic energies. Just going to get some oracle cards. I'm putting them face down so we'll see it together. The story you tell yourself. What is the story that you tell yourself? I'm hearing sweet one. Sweet one. Okay, last deck. Spirit guides for group 1. What is this story all about? What do we need to say? What will be helpful? I'm hearing something about Niagara Falls here. Like Maid of the Mist, that thing. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's see. What is the story that you're telling yourself here? Let's clear this out here first. Bring the mic a little closer. Sorry about that if that was hard to hear me. All right. Knight of Swords. Influence. Terror. And fear. Okay, so we got terror, fear, the Knight of Swords, and an influence. So there's a few things that are coming up here. The first one's more general, okay? It's a kind of collective energy that could be impacting your story at the moment. Fear in the media, or, you know, stories that promote a sense of fear and terror in you could be causing you to feel and think a certain way about your own story. And there's a warning here from Spirit to protect your mind. There's a lot of ideas in the world, and some are more useful than others, so be careful of what you let in here. Everything is observed, if not taken in, by the subconscious. So we really have to be mindful about what we surround ourselves with, what information, what media. That's my new owl, by the way. That's Mr. 10K when I got to 10,000 subscribers, and that's Mr. 20K. I just looked back there because I thought the light was so close to him, but it's actually not. It's an interesting disruption there. Okay, I don't know why that was coming out there. When I do a reading, everything that happens in a reading for me is part of the reading. I bless the space first, I do my little ritual, I say my prayer, and so when I open the space, it's all sacred. I also close the space. Maybe these are also messages for you to open and close your spiritual space when you go in meditation or when you do anything intuitive. Perhaps this is a good way to strengthen your boundaries here, protect yourself. Okay, so we have that warning here, general warning about, you know, the matrix and the fear it tries to produce and how that can influence your mind as well as the things that you say. And keep in mind that it also influences others that you may be dealing with. So I'm sure many of you have people in your life that are not into spirituality and are perhaps more glued to propaganda or whatever, you know, the matrix world. And that might be affecting your relationship with these people at this time. It's important to stay strong in your own beliefs, but never to push them on anyone else. Okay, obviously, I feel like that's something that you probably already know, but we can't make anybody think the way that we do, right? And nor should everyone think the same. Okay, on a more personal level here, there is a story you're telling yourself either about something that something you may have said that has caused fear and terror for someone else, or perhaps somebody has said something to you that has caused you to be fearful. It's sharp with their words. They've influenced here your feelings on a situation, or vice versa. Take it however it resonates. But I'm going to take this as somebody has Well, I'm getting something like not doing their best. They haven't been doing their best here. Okay, 1 second. I need clarification on the warning. Spirit, what's the warning about here? Can you give me some more context? The moon. The sun and the moon. Well, thank you. This is about perspective here. There's a warning about how you want to perceive a situation. You know, the moon card represents the unknown. It can represent fear, illusions, but it can also represent intuitive energy, feminine energy, cycles, rhythm. It's not, no card is entirely negative or positive, right? The sun card, likewise, is usually only ever talked about as a positive because it is such a positive card. It's about illumination, enlightenment, identity. It can be about children. It can be about health and vitality, but it can also be about ego. And I find this depiction really interesting because we have this big, huge fish underneath the water here, which water tends to symbolize the unconscious. So something big in the unconscious here that the light is illuminating. Perhaps this is somebody's ego. But I feel like the warning is about which way do you want to look at this situation here? Which energy do you want to bring? I feel like you should bring both the sun and the moon to the situation, both the sense of you don't know everything, and also that what needs to be shown to you will be illuminated. There's a feeling of needing more confidence here in a situation, in your own ability to find strength. So last night, as you know, in my community tab posting, if you read it. But anyways, I was watching a lot of, I was in a mood, but I had watched a lot of stuff on the news that day, and, it was getting in there, and I was feeling like fearful, like about the world and what's going on and people's mental health and so on and so forth. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, like I feel so lost. This feels so, this doesn't feel good. It's not feeling good. And this is why I don't listen to the news or anything like that. I try my best to stay away from that because there's a lot of programming in there and drive to incite fear in order to control the masses. So anyways, I ended up taking a bath instead and relaxing and putting on some, hypnotic type of music to get me into a void state, like a positive way, and that worked. The cats came and chilled. It was all good. So it was a matter of becoming conscious in that moment that whatever is creating fear for me is something that I can turn off. It's something I can not look at and refocus my perspective and my energy to something that soothes me or fulfills me or reassures me in my soul and my spirit and what my soul and spirit knows to be true, which is that there's a lot of love in the universe. So this is a message here for you about how you want to frame the story. Whatever you're looking at that is about, there's some kind of, well, you can't really say it any other way, fear and terror here about something. How do you want to frame that story? There could be somebody in your life that's trying to create fear for you about a new job, a new prospect, whatever it is. Perhaps you need to distance yourself from that person. Okay, love is not fear. Remember that. Okay. Let's see. Who are the main characters in this story? The Page of Wands. Look at him. He's got a little hat on here. And attachment. The Ancestors. Ghost. Oh, wow. Group 1. All right. I'm feeling this. Okay, maybe there's something else here, but let me get out this one because it's coming in real strong. Maybe you already are aware of this, but there's ancestral trauma that you're carrying here, or that you're tapped into. That's probably a better way to say it, that you're tapped into. Maybe you don't feel it all the times, but sometimes it comes in. Okay, so there's something here maybe in your family history or your bloodline, I don't know how far back it goes, where there's some fear and terror that has carried on in the bloodline. You know, this is not hokey pokey stuff. Okay, genes have memories. Ancestral trauma is a real thing. And I feel like there's some kind of karma or karmic cycle you've been involved with that is related to something that your ancestors went through. You know, like there's some replaying of a karmic cycle here. And maybe it looks different, but maybe it's not exactly the same, but the emotions, the intensities involved in this cycle are the same thing your ancestors felt. See, there's an attachment here, ghost, ancestors, to this particular frequency. So obviously what we need to do is break that ancestral karma. And the Page of Wands, at first I thought maybe this is a messenger, because this is a messenger card, but perhaps this is you with the torch going forward in a new direction. Pages are new energy, young energy, novice energy. Taking a new direction here, one that isn't subjected to or relegated to ancestral trauma and karma. I love that the moon and the sun came out. This is very strong here. So even if you've been in a difficult love situation or friendship or a relationship with a parent, maybe it's been toxic, maybe there's been some abuse, hopefully not. But, you know, the terror and the fear is really strong with the warning. There's something here going on. But maybe all of that stuff, you know, or not maybe, all of that stuff, you should consider how you're not the only one who has carried this in your bloodline. You're not the only one who's experienced this. You can call on your ancestors to help you. And maybe you also need to help free your ancestors from that karma as well. Talk to your ancestors. Let them know it's okay, that they can heal, that you're healing, that you're going to help heal this situation. There's something very strong here. Yeah, I feel like this is a big, big deal. Your ancestors are a main character in your story. Okay, how is this story serving you? So when we tell ourselves stories, or when we continue doing something, it serves us in some way. Otherwise, we just wouldn't do it. We only do things that serve us. Even the painful things that hurt us are still serving us somehow, a shadow aspect of ourselves, you know? Sometimes we put ourselves in terrible situations because we need to heal a part of ourselves that we wouldn't otherwise unless we got into that situation and we're forced to do that work, you know? So let's see how this story is serving you. Page of Cups. Gifts. Freedom. Yay. And consciousness. Hallelujah. You're breaking the karmic cycles, you know, your ancestral karma. It's about consciousness. It's about becoming aware of what's underneath the water, that big fish. being brave, having the strength to go into the unknown here. And, you know, working on ancestral karma is kind of an abstract concept. It's not something that's easy. It could be very much in moon energy, that kind of work. But I see here that you're feeling the pain or feeling the fear, the terror, or those feelings come to you in waves, just like it came to me last night. Okay, maybe there's a message in here for me too. I don't know. But it came to you in waves, or maybe it's something you feel constantly, persistently, because it's getting you to address some ancestral karma, to understand what the frequency is all about for you, that frequency of fear, to connect it to a larger story in order to work on it and release it, to become conscious of where these feelings are coming from. Maybe sometimes you get anxiety out of nowhere and your world is all okay, or, you know, and maybe that's your own past traumas, or maybe it's your ancestors' traumas and you're having a hard time understanding why you feel the way you do, and you just need to make that link here. Interesting. That link. So that you know where these feelings are coming from. Some of the soul contracts we get into in this lifetime are related to our ancestors too. We might be trying to clear karma from our ancestors. There's people in my life, 100% I know that there's been past lifetimes with, ancestrally, and so forth. Yeah, so there's something here. The story is serving you. The reason why you feel these feelings, or why this is all coming up for you, is so that you can become conscious of it, free yourself from it. And with gifts, this is coming from your intuitive psychic capacities and abilities, Page of Cups, your creativity as well. Don't forget that imagination is a huge part of intuition and psychic abilities. Okay, so don't be fearful to use your imagination as well about how all of this could be working. Play with those ideas until one lands and feels right. Like, play with the ideas of how your ancestors might have dealt with certain situations. And you'll feel it when it's right. I don't know, this is a message coming through. I also feel like if you are thinking about having children, or you do have children, Page of Cups can represent a child here, that you're being asked to break this karma, this frequency of fear that's been running through the bloodline, so that you can free your children, free your future child, give them that gift here of freedom and a higher level of consciousness. Wow, I love this. And if it's not children, it's you. It's to do it for yourself. Okay, so how is this story not serving you? The Hanged Man. Relationship. Isolation. The Philosopher. Okay, so you've gone within here. You've sacrificed maybe a relationship with someone, or you've sacrificed getting into a new relationship, making new friends, making new connections. You've isolated yourself in some way here. Maybe it's even in a work context, take it however, because of the fear. And maybe you haven't even made that connection yet. Maybe if someone said, hey, you know, you're walking around with fear, you'd be like, no, I'm not. But maybe you are. Maybe there is something in there. This is in the shadow, perhaps. I think everybody has fears at some level. You know, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, it's a different story. But you're strong enough to become conscious of your fears, address them, resolve them, bring them into the light. And I see that you are kind of philosophizing, working on this concept with the Hanged Man. I mean, this is pretty big. You could be looking at big, huge spiritual concepts about how to heal collective fear. but it's not serving you in some way because it's keeping you isolated from somebody else or meeting other people, finding connection. You can't connect to someone if there's an element of fear. Not really. Now, people should earn your trust. Yes, I believe that. You know, I've trusted people right off the bat and definitely got burned from that in the past. So now I'm more in the state of, yes, you need to earn my trust. But it doesn't mean you need to isolate yourself either from people. Give people a chance, right? That's in here too. What else? This came through in another reading, but I'm hearing it again. Don't get lost in your own sauce or something like that. Lost in the sauce idea. And the sauce here being your own thoughts about what's happened to you personally, I'm hearing. Because you could get stuck with the hangman in this place of overthinking from a frequency of fear. Sometimes, you know, the shadow's so clever, okay? Sometimes we create boundaries and we think we're doing it in a way that is super empowered, and sometimes we do, right? But other times we create these boundaries because we're scared. And then they're erected based on this frequency of fear. So they're keeping us safe only because we're afraid. And that's not a good thing. I've mentioned this before about boundaries, you know. Sometimes it's necessary to create boundaries when we're afraid, right? Dig that moat, put the dragon in it, you know? But in the long term, boundaries need to be just a characteristic. They need to be characteristics of who you are. That's just who you are. You do this and you don't do that. It's just your personality. It's who you are. Rather than a protection mechanism based off of fear. Because we don't want that frequency of fear to be the thing that's protecting us for a long extended period of time. I know in the short time it can be useful. Short term it can be useful. Okay, let's not get too confused on that one. All right. Let's see. How can you rewrite this story, or what should you rewrite this story to? 5 of Pentacles. Evolution. The Sleepwalker. Sadness. This is interesting. How could you rewrite the story? Well, there's a poverty consciousness here, a lack mentality, lack matrix mentality, which is not uncommon, right? I don't deserve this. I can't have this. I'm not good enough for that. They don't love me because I suck. You know, these kinds of ideas. You need to rewrite that. You deserve happiness. You deserve love. You deserve to be valued and appreciated and cared for and protected and not feel feared or feel feared. Interesting. Maybe you're the one creating fear. I don't know. Take it however. Not be feared, not feel fear. For those of you, if you feel like you're causing fear in someone by some action, and this is only going to be like, maybe, I don't even know, maybe no one, but let me just say it anyways. If you feel like you're causing fear in someone, you need to understand that your actions are rooted in your own sadness, and you got to address the pain and the sadness here. And until you do that, well, it's going to be a long road with corridor here for you, the novice, to learn how to come out of this, the deceiver, how to come out of this situation because you're deceiving yourself about something. Okay, you know, hurt people, that whole idea? Yeah. Okay. And maybe if you are involved with someone who is trying to scare you, understanding the root of their behavior could help explain things to you, you know, give you an explanation, not give an excuse though. It doesn't excuse the behavior. It's still shit. But it can provide you a way to understand, comprehend what is going on. When we're in a place of fear, especially if we're fearing someone, hopefully that's not the case, but your mind can get all like looped, you know, and nothing makes sense anymore because fear takes over, adrenaline, all of this stuff. It's exhausting, right? So understanding the motivations of someone else can help provide context, not necessarily resolve anything, but there's a message there for someone. Okay, dancing around this a little bit. How could you rewrite your story? Lack of consciousness, evolving out of that. The sleepwalker and sadness. What is this? The color blue, throat chakra. Do you have sad dreams? Perhaps this is a message here for you to meditate or dream or however, you know, spend some psychic time here in connect with the 5D in some way to well, it's like whatever this ancestral pain and fear and terror is about, there's a message here about you doing something in the dream state or a meditative state. Theta waves, I'm hearing theta waves. In some kind of state here for you to go to where your ancestors are, to where that energy exists. I'm hearing energy pod, to go to the energy pod and address the sadness and the lack that exists there and shift it, change the consciousness that exists there, evolve it out of this place. Okay, I need some more grounded advice a little bit here though. How could group 1 rewrite their story here? Ace of Pentacles and 3 of Wands. Well, the answer is rewrite a new story. Envision something new here. Write an entirely new story. Change the plot line. Write down the titles of the chapters of your story that have been thus far, and then write the new ones that you want to experience. Put yourself in a state of mind in which you can manifest and envision a different story here for yourself. One that's different from the ancestral fear. Okay, let's see. How will this new story help your soul ascend? 10 of Pentacles, going from the 5 of Pentacles to 10 of Pentacles. Yeehaw. 4 of Pentacles here, which is 13 together. Okay. Erosion. Passion. And betrayal. Ooh. Well, I feel like this is, the 4 of Pentacles can be holding on, right? And this is holding on to some very strong energy related to betrayal. There's like a burning retribution energy. You know, if someone instills fear and terror, and I just saw 30-30, into us, and then we put it in perspective and we heal that terror or fear, or even if we haven't yet, often we can get really angry at like, how dare you make me feel that way? Make me. Nobody makes you feel anything, by the way. But how dare you try to make me feel that way, or how dare you instill fear into other people, or how dare, you know, it's like a very seeking retribution here. Like, being really angry is a natural feeling after feeling fear. And I feel like there's some kind of strong tie here to that feeling of being betrayed. And maybe this doesn't come out like in your everyday, like you're not walking around like, how dare it, you know, like maybe it's not like that. Maybe it is. But it's perhaps more subtle here. So, eroding this, creating some erosion to this energy, moves you from the 5 of Pentacles to the 10 of Pentacles, which is also about ancestral ascension. You know, in the 10 of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite, we see the Tree of Life. This is creating a new story here, one in which the energies of anger and betrayal and fear and all of that and holding on here, isolating, all of that stuff is deleted. Just delete it. It's a program that's been running here for some time that isn't useful anymore. So I see that you're going to get to the 10 of Pentacles. Four of Swords, and find peace of mind. Once you work on this energy a little bit more, 6 of Wands, I don't know what that is. Maybe that means some don't have 6 wines. That's a lot. Okay, but 6 of Wands. Okay, 6 of Wands here. This is feeling victorious. Conquer your fears. It's a good feeling. All right. That's what I got for you, Group 1. I hope that helped. I'll see you next time. You can watch the other groups too if you want. Okay, Group 2. Those of you who chose the Obsidian Cat. Let's see what we got for you. It's kind of the overall guiding framework for your story. Blessing with love. Guys. I love that it's a cat too. Maybe you're going to have a new feline friend or a fur baby in your life. If you do, or if you're thinking about it, or if you have a new one, it's a blessing. Or maybe not even a new one. Maybe just a pixel that's been with you for a long time. It's a blessing. That's my cat, if you don't know, if you're new here. Oh, this is so heartwarming, guys. Now, it doesn't have to be an animal. I got a Cancer in Venus. My Venus is in Cancer, so I'm like kind of animal. Yeah. Like, I'm the kind of person that cries when I see like animals doing cute things. Like, I'm even almost going to cry now just thinking about it. It's interesting too, because my neck has been like a little bit itchy here, and I can see in the camera here I'm getting a little bit of a rash, which is unusual for me to get a rash. I wonder what that's about here. Everything that happens in the reading, if you don't already know for me, is part of the reading. The rash. What's the rash about? Well, when you get a rash here, it's usually a reaction to something, right? It's like your body can be, well, it's a hypersensitivity to something. And I was just talking about being hypersensitive, right? Okay, so maybe there's something here about hypersensitivity. Let's get your cards out and see what's going on. I still feel like this is a beautiful reading. But it doesn't have to be about animals. It can be about romantic love. Whatever it is, it's a blessing. This is a beautiful story so far. We don't know yet, but so far. Whoa, whoa, whoa. For those of you who are pregnant, that baby's dying to come out. All right, like it's excited, I'm feeling. Maybe this is even a new creative idea you have. It's ready to come out. It wants to be here. It's a blessing. One more, Spirit. Okay, I'm going to pull some oracle cards as well. Maybe there's something about a childhood friend coming up here. For someone, this is a friend who's passed. I don't know. Not obviously not for all of you. Did you see that? There's like a really an urgency here, like in a good way. It doesn't feel bad. It's like, tell my story. Tell my story. I don't know what this is. Okay. Maybe this is somebody's story that you're connected to closely. I just saw 404, or maybe it's for you. I don't know. This is very strange. Okay. Page of Pentacles. Dystopia. Blocked. Intuition. Okay, well, some of you might feel like you're having blocked intuition. If that's the case, then it's just that you're paying, this is kind of similar to group one a little bit. You could be paying too much attention to matrix type stuff, okay? Page of Pentacles, dystopia. You could be trying to work your way through a dystopic system, okay? Yeah. A victim of the system, something like that, potentially. There's something going on maybe at work that's disrupting this blessing of love that you have. There's some like minor annoyance that's getting a little bit too big. Okay, it's blocking your intuition, whatever that is. Okay, if it's not that, then your intuition here is telling you that there's this, hold on, tell me a little bit more about dystopia. What's the dystopia about? 4 of Cups, apathy. Some of you could be trying to, 3 of Swords. Some of you could be trying to communicate to someone that 4 of Wands, that you really love them or that you feel like they're a blessing in your life, the Star, and it's just not getting through to them. This could even be happening on the 5D. You could be trying to explain your love to someone and it's like it's not being received, or maybe they're trying to do this with you. There's something here about some unfortunate energy getting in the way of this blessing. I think that I don't think that you see this blessing, okay? I feel like you see it. You understand it, but it's maybe getting to this blessing or having this blessing flourish or come in or feel or be recognized is difficult because of some kind of lack mentality or apathy here. Perhaps you feel like you don't deserve love. This could be a story you're telling yourself. Or that you're not going to meet a soul connection in your life, that you won't experience this blessing. That could be a story here. Okay, so let's see who the main characters are. 2 of Swords. wisdom, the reflection. Oh, look, these images are almost the same. Well, they look like it to me, or maybe not, but it's like, it looks like a tree and then the reflection of it. And consciousness. Well, the main character in your story here is your higher self. There's something being reflected back to you here by someone or something that I'm hearing a current energy. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Maybe you're currently feeling this, but it's like your higher self is reflecting something to you via someone else or something else. They're trying to show you here about which direction to move in or how to make the right decision, and also how to be at peace with the decisions you have made in your life. So how can group 2 connect to this character of their higher self? 4 of Cups again. Okay, what is this? 10 of Swords. Some of you, not all of you, okay, some of you are acting like you don't care about a painful ending or that you're over it. You could give a damn what this other person feels or thinks. You got to address that some more if you want to unblock your blessing in love, maybe with someone else, maybe with this, I don't know. But there's some apathy here about some difficult ending. That your higher self is trying to get you to address. What is going on here? Ace of Pentacles. King of Swords and Queen of Pentacles. Could be earth and air here. Doesn't have to be that. The High Priestess. It's like there's somebody here with the King of Swords that has something to say. I love this depiction. And you're the otter here, I just feel that intuitively. You can switch it if you want. You're the otter here with that pentacle that you've, I'm hearing ameliorated. I don't know why that's coming in. Okay, but that you've gained. Strange. That you have this Ace of Pentacles, this new opportunity here, a new outlook, something tangible, something you're proud of here. New job, new house, new relationship, whatever it is. It's like you have this in your lap. You're the little sea otter here, looking pretty grounded, solid, stable, on your throne, firmly planted. And somebody else is battling the waves here with a lot on their mind and something to say. And it's almost like you're taking the attitude of, I don't care about this. And Spirit's saying you have to reflect more on this attitude of yours, because for some reason it's blocking a blessing. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to talk to this person or take them back or whatever. I don't know what this is about. It could be about anything. It could be about work. It's not that you need to do anything different in your actions. You could maybe, but it's more about, with all these swords, it's more about the way that you're perceiving a situation. Whatever apathy you feel or you want to feel maybe is not really the right direction. It won't grant you the higher wisdom and consciousness that you really deserve. For some of you, there is somebody here on their way, and you're not, or they want to be on their way towards you, and you're refusing to see it or acknowledge it. Okay? There's a few things going on, so you pick what resonates. You write your story. How is the story serving you? So whenever we tell ourselves something, it's usually because it's serving us in one way or another, maybe even our shadow. King of Wands. Well, you're feeling in charge here. Structure, yeah, you're feeling stable, solid. The Deceiver. Isolation. It's like you're trying to keep something away here. Don't deceive me. Don't come towards me. What's up with this? I'm so confused because this energy is so beautiful. It's like love is here in some shape or form, but your energy is like, no, it's not. That's how you are. You're like, not really, Andy. It's not here at all. And yeah, okay, maybe it's not in the 3D or you're not experiencing what I'm feeling here, but it's here. Why won't you take a chance on that idea? And if you already are like, yeah, Andy, I'm totally about love. What are you talking about? Then maybe somebody else is like, no. And they're refusing to see the blessing. Maybe it's too painful. Okay, that could be there with the Ten of Swords. What's the deceiver here? Three of Wands. Well, you don't want to be sold a lie, a vision for the future, a story, a tarot reading that tells you love is coming in when there's nothing but heartbreak on the horizon. Right, I get it. Who the hell wants to be taken for a ride like that? You gotta trust your own emotions and intuition. I get it. But you also can't close yourself off to anything that you want. If you're in the Five of Cups, that's all you're going to receive. You know, yeah, it's like you got to be, well, you don't have to do anything, but Spirit's saying this story is serving you because it's making you feel empowered. That you have you're controlling the situation. You don't have love because you don't want love, right? Or that you're the one who's giving all the love and it's somebody else's problem. However this is going down, right? There's something about the story you're telling yourself that's making you feel like you got control here. And that you're keeping some lies, manipulation, deception away. But I also feel like there is a little bit of self-deception about what is possible for you. Anything is possible. Anything is possible for you. Love is possible for you. Four of Cups. No. Four of Wands. This is, that 11-11 connection, soulmate connection, stability, marriage, long-term commitment. This is possible here. Seven of Cups. Let yourself believe it. Don't have any expectations of when it's going to come, who's going to bring it towards you. Just open your heart and mind to the idea that it is yours already. When we have expectations of how things are going to unfold, yeah, typically they rarely unfold the way we expect them to. And then we feel like, oh, I'm so stupid, that kind of thing. We get disappointed and we shut off. We don't want to get involved in anything ever again because our expectations weren't met. So Spirit is asking you to try to step into the world of, yes, this is going to happen for me, without expecting how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Release any expectations of what it might look like. And if you're thinking about somebody in particular here who might be trying to reconnect or has something to say to you, release expectations of what that's going to look like. If you're sitting out here expecting them to say a certain thing or come towards you in a certain thing, you're putting You're putting out those microwaves. I don't know. Okay, you're putting out those manifestations, those energetic waves of how you want something to be. But the other person is not coming towards you like that. So there's like a resistance now, right? Between your expectation and the reality of what the other person is doing. And you can't come together that way. It's not going to happen until you release. Then they're free to come towards. Get it? 1717. Pixie, my cat blessing. Okay, guys, sorry. Let's see. 4. How is it not serving you? The 6 of Swords. Ghost. the stag, and earth. How is it not serving you? Well, you're stuck in some old thoughts here about something. There's a stag spirit animal here for you. This is very strong here. It could be a guide even. I saw a stag recently. It's quite unexpected. How is this not serving? Ace of Wands and the Queen of Wands. One sec, guys. Come on. I know. I love you. They love you. They love you. They really do. But they also want their reading. I'm going to feed you in right after this. All right. How is this not serving you? Well, there's a resistance here to figure this one out. That's for sure. Ghost, Earth, Stag, Queen. There's something about taking on too much responsibility for how this unfolds. It's like I want to just push all these cards off the table. It's like, yeah, it's like you're saying like no to your blessing. You're like, no, forget it. Something like this. It's like I was saying how much I love Pixel, and then she comes up here and I'm like, bye. It's like exactly like that, right? It's like, you're bothering me. I don't want you to be around. Bye. You know, it's that, yeah, there's something symbolic there. I love you, but leave me alone. Yeah, so there's some kind of message here. It's feeling very defensive, okay? That's not serving you. And you should look into the stag. I don't know if it's in this book. Probably not. Just because I want to find it fast. There's a rushed energy here too. My phone's got low battery and it keeps reminding me. You can't rush your blessings, and you can't really stop them from coming towards you anyways. They'll find you eventually, but why not have them sooner? So let that reassure you too, that you can't stop your own blessings. Okay, you can screw them up and it will take longer to come towards you. I'm reading this as if this is like an oracle. Interesting. The stag. The horns of the stag lend it an especial significance as a magical and sacred animal and as a masculine symbol. Most horned animals carry this association, and because of these antlers, the stag is emblematic of fertility and male sexuality. Like the goat, it gives rise to the word horny, meaning sexually charged. Did you know that's what that meant? There is a masculine kind of energy here coming through, but it's telling me it's not serving you. The stag is trying to talk to you here, though. Let's see. The horns are also emblematic of the world tree, making the animal synonymous with the idea of rebirth and therefore the sun. And then they're talking about Pan and how, you know, the stag was turned into a devil. Okay, so maybe you've turned the idea of love into something that's a negative for you or somebody who loves you. Okay, I think this is as far as this is going to go. The stag is believed to have healing powers too, and is something depicted with an arrow piercing its side and herbs in its mouth. The stag has the reputation of knowing the uses of all the medicinal plants and herbs in the forest, so presumably it eats these plants in order to fix his wound. There's something here about a wound relating to love that Spirit is trying to get you to address here so that you can have more blessings come in. So how could you rewrite your story? The world. Didn't they just say the world tree? And then we have the earth here too. Yeah. Okay. The world. Balance. Transformation. Rest. Yeah, this rushed energy. There's a need to rest here. Oh, like a little baby. Yeah. A need to rest. Transform the energy you feel around love. I know it sounds so hokey and abstract here. Are you purring? What are we trying to say, Wolfie? You gonna fall asleep? You silly cat. How disgusting is this, guys? I know. Okay. Well, you need to get some rest here. That's for sure. You need to allow something to transmute. And getting rid of an apathetic attitude will really help you. I do feel like for some of you, there's somebody who loves you and you're just kind of refusing the love in some way, shape, or form. Maybe this is someone you're currently with, or perhaps it's someone from the past. But there's a need to close a cycle on the way that you've been dealing with the idea of love in your life. And if you've been dealing with someone who's been denying your love, you got to move out of that as well to protect your own heart here and to allow your heart to be held the way it should be held. Yeah, so you can get into this state, the restful state of letting someone love you. Letting someone love you, treat you like a little baby. I know. Have I lost all of you yet? This is like 50 people just unsubscribed. All right. Let's see. How will this new story help your soul ascend? King of Cups. Relationship. Hey now. The Illusionist. And peace. Alrighty. Oh look, now the horns are on the cat. The blessing. The blessing is protected. The blessing is magic. There's a realization of that. The black cat has the horns now. There's spirituality in this connection as well. A relationship comes together with true, solid, stable emotions here. A sense of peace. This is so beautiful. If you want love in your life, and you feel like you don't have it now, really try to claim this energy. Try to be here for this energy. Work on the things that have hurt you in the past, because Spirit's really trying to send in something big for you. There's another story that's waiting for you to live. Don't push that away. All right, group 2, I love you so much. I'll see you next time. Hi, group 3, those of you who chose the lava stone. I had to take a little break and charge the phone up, but I only charged it up to 20% because I really wanted to get back here and do this reading for you. I was pulling the cards close to me to turn them over for you, and this one flipped over, and I see spiritual bypassing, which is pretty interesting because I was just talking about this to someone. This is a concept in which you head straight for spirituality. You embrace big spiritual concepts before you deal with grief or trauma. It's a way of avoiding the body or any pain that is in the body. It's like recharging the phone only 20% and then getting right into the reading rather than allowing yourself to recharge to 100 before you go on to do the next thing. So sometimes that happens in the spiritual community, and I've caught myself doing this a few times too. We engage with these big spiritual concepts of ascension and so on, kundalini rising, all these things that are just light up our brains and our souls, and we want to be in this place. We want to be elevated. We want to be ascending. We want to open these chakras. We want these psychic intuitive abilities. but we haven't dealt with the grief or the pain or the trauma of a particular situation. And so focusing on all of those can seem in the time like a solution, like a remedy to the pain. But oftentimes those concepts are about moving away from something that happened, leaving it behind, letting go, going forward, rising above, raising your vibration from a place you were in, without actually transmuting the energy of the event or whatever it is, the situation that you were in that caused you some grief here. You have to transmute that energy first, or potentially at the same time, but there definitely needs to be an acknowledgement here of something that's gone on, something that's happened. Now, maybe this is somebody close to you who needs to do this, or maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's not all the time. Maybe it's here and there. You know, you find yourself kind of going into these big concepts here without dealing and not dealing with the actual pain that you're feeling in your body. So let's see what, I don't know, guys. We're going to see what this message is all about. Let's see what these cards are. Hunger. Illumination. Yeah, there's a hunger here for spiritual illumination, enlightenment, ascension. So much so that you're bypassing something. Maybe it's not grief and trauma, but it's something that's going on here. Okay, so this is the framework of the story. Let's see what the story is all about here. A hunger for illumination. You know, spirituality, well, it's become a commodity, right? And it's not all love and light. You know, having a spiritual awakening is, it's like rough as hell, man. It's like dealing with the hellscapes. I'm hearing the hellscapes that exist within you and without you and around you. It's removing the veil, seeing things as they are, which is oftentimes pretty bleak and dreary and difficult. It's shadow work, which we talked about being difficult already in the beginning. It's not automatically communicating with ascended masters, you know what I mean? Like, this spiritual awakening is messy. It's a spiral. It's not linear. It's not straightforward. You have to be open-minded. But you can't bypass anything, right? You know, trauma and grief is all karma too. I'm not saying that you deserve it. That's not what karma is about. It's just energy, karmic energy that we're working through, right? We can't bypass our karmic energy. We have to deal with it, clear it, transmute it. Transmute it, essentially. That's what we got to do here. Transmute the hellscapes into heaven. Hell on earth to heaven in earth. In earth. I said heaven in earth. Ooh, I have a particular theory about the core of the earth, but we won't go there now. Okay, let's see. I mean, seriously, what's at the, you know what they say is at the core of the earth, but nobody knows for sure. It's the theory. Just like everything is. It's a story, right? The stories we tell ourselves about the world, about ourselves, about others. Like, we bypassed the core of the earth to go to outer space. Like, you think we'd start where we are now. Anyways, let's stay here. Okay, Spirit. Group 3. What about this story do they need to know? What do we got to talk about here? Okay. So let's see. Oh no, we need one of these. And the lava stone, right? Lava, volcanoes. Yeah, the core of the earth. Exactly. There's like, yeah, some lava here. Something that needs to erupt, needs to be dealt with. It will only surface in another way, right? If you bypass something that needs to transmute, that energy is only going to resurface in a different form, at a different time. But you can't run away from it or escape it or transcend it. You know? I mean, in my personal belief, and I could be wrong, okay, but my personal belief is transmutation over transcendence. Now, I know there's different ideas, but it's like you can't leave energy behind. You have to be the magician, the alchemist, and transmute it. Anyways, I guess that's more of a philosophical conversation. Let's see. What story do you tell yourself? King of Wands. Patience. Ooh, interesting about the recharging and not bringing it up to 100. The Visionary. This is interesting. Rest. So you tell yourself the story that you're patient to see the big picture. I'm hearing to meet God. Interesting. You're patient to understand the vision. Perhaps you have a lot of, I'm hearing therapeutic dreams. Something's going on when you close your eyes, when you rest. I'm hearing collage behind your eyes. I don't know, maybe you see a lot of colors when you close your eyes. What's that about? I don't know. There's some, but see, it's like we're getting into these big spiritual things here, these questions. King of Wands. King of Wands and patience. You could be patiently waiting for something to heal. While you seek out a larger vision. What is this? Out of the 3 readings, your energy is, the energy here, well, it might not be yours, but, you know, maybe it's someone you're dealing with. The energy here is a little bit hard to pin down. Well, there's a bypassing. Let's get right to it. What are we bypassing? 6 of Cups, something from the past, yeah. And how are we bypassing that here? 5 of Wands in reverse, refusing to get 5 of Cups, refusing to feel conflict or dealing with sadness, remorse, and regret. You don't want to have conflict here, inner conflict, who does? But, you know, or you don't want to, but maybe there's conflict avoidance. And that is not advised here. Sometimes we feel so much inner conflict when we're grieving something or we're healing from something. We've had a difficult breakup or we've lost, I'm hearing a parent, I hope not, but you know, we've lost somebody that we love or we lose a job or whatever goes on in our life that's like, oh my goodness, I hate this feeling. I hate it. You know, all of that. It's like, it can feel really tense. One minute we could feel this way, another minute we could feel that way. So much conflict. And even making sense of why we feel all this love and hate or sadness and relief or all these different feelings, making sense of it can be so overwhelming that we just want to escape it entirely. And spirituality, tarot readings, all of it can be a really big source or outlet for escapism. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it's something to be aware of. For sure, you know, you could watch tarot readings all day long and escape into other people's stories or escape into your own story or whatever it is as a way to not feel those conflictual energies. Your hunger gets more and more, it gets more intensified for seeking some kind of illumination about the world, about consciousness, while you repress and put down those difficult feelings into your shadow. And that's exactly what we don't want to do here. And like I said, maybe it's not all the time. Maybe it's just today. Maybe it's this hour, tomorrow, whenever, right? It's just a message that Spirit has here for somebody about dealing with some kind of past here. that you'd rather not look at. Maybe there's a rejection or I'm seeing the card abandonment here, abandonment wound. You want to rest from this. I understand. But with patience and the King of Wands, this is like, doesn't make sense together. This is a war within, potentially. When you have that conflict within yourself and you sit with it, you deal with it, you explore all the different energies. I love them, I hate them, you know, whatever. And you see where all of that might be coming from and you really dig deep into it. That's the transmutation. When you sit with that energy and you work with it, you massage it, you figure it out, you try to see where things are coming from, or you at least acknowledge those feelings are there. That's when the energy begins to change. That's when the healing happens. Cutting ourselves off from our emotions doesn't really serve us. I mean, there is a point we can come to where we could say, you know, I'm ruminating on something because it's just become a habit for me now. I'm addicted to the rumination about this story. That's possible, right? You can become trapped in a story. How many tarot readings have you watched with the same story? You can become, you know, so immersed in that story that you need to cut yourself off from that, right? Cut the cord from that. But this isn't, there's something else happening here where you haven't transmuted something. Once you do that, shadow work or dealing with your own emotions and this, that, and the other, the things you regret, like, that's the illumination that you're seeking. That's the ascension that you want. That's when everything kind of comes together. Okay, let's keep going here. I hope this is going to be helpful for somebody, because I feel like it might, like there might be people here who don't want to hear this message, or maybe it just doesn't resonate, because I feel like it's very specific. Okay, let's see. Who's the main story? Oh, the main story. Who's the main character in your story? Four of Cups. Wisdom. Is this the same as group 2? Decay and trust. Wise enough not to do that again, right? That's what I'm getting from you, maybe. Wise enough not to do that again. Somebody broke your trust here. They could have acted like they didn't give a shit about you. They could have questioned your spirituality. Said you're a kook. I'm hearing. You're a kook. It's kind of a cute word. Oh. Okay, but somebody could have talked down to you. You know, there's something here dismissive, avoidant of who you are, or what hurts you, the pain you have. And it's like, this shadow's so interesting, or the psyche in general, because that dismissive nature that you dealt with someone else, where they acted like they didn't give a shit about you, or however they treated you, you know, you've adopted that now towards yourself and your own pain and your own, you know, I'm hearing submission, admission, submission, something like that, submission. Anyways, you've taken on that energy and been like, well, I'm over it. I don't care. You know, I'm on to these bigger, that person's in the matrix, low vibrational, blah, 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 right? And I'm way over here now. And that's okay. That might be true, but you still need to deal with some energies. I'm going to probably repeat that a couple times here just to let you know. I feel like it's there, you know, like it's, yeah, Spirit wants me to say it. So you've taken that energy that somebody was hurling at you, dismissive or avoidant kind of energy, and now you're doing that to a part of yourself. This may make you subconsciously feel like you're in control of the energy that once hurt you. because now you're using it, right? It's an energy that's the main character of your story. It's not a person, it's an energy of why should, like, but it might not be totally conscious, but it's kind of like, I'm done with this. There's a lack of trust here for somebody, but also maybe even yourself. Maybe you don't trust that you can do something here. Give me one more here about this. 10 of Wands. See, it's like carrying an energetic burden here while trying to move forward. All you really have to do is drop those wands and look at them for some time, you know? And then you need to get out the saw, chop them up, make yourself a chariot out of them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, make it useful, because right now what you're carrying isn't useful. But you got to look at what it is that you're carrying before you can really move forward in what it is you want, this illumination. I feel like Spirit wants to illuminate you with something. Maybe it's some grand cosmic wisdom. Maybe it's more than you already have, whatever, or a psychic ability. Who knows? It's some kind of illumination, maybe about your past over here. But you can't do it until you remove these sticks from your eyes, from your vision, right? Like, that's what the 10 of Wands is doing, is holding up those wands right in front of his face, blocking his vision. He can't, how can you be illuminated? Right? Okay. Let's see. How is this story serving you? So when we do things like this, it serves us in one way or another, else we wouldn't do it, right? Even if it's not serving our highest good, it could still be serving a wound, or it could be serving our ego, or whatever it is here. I feel like by spiritually bypassing something, or maybe that's a little harsh of a terminology, but by not dealing with the grief or pain of something, this could be someone else too, so take it however. What was I going to say there? Well, you're not writing your story. You're not writing your own story. Okay. How's it serving you, right? You're not writing your own story. So it's serving you, the part of you that's scared to take control of the situation, the part of you that doesn't want to look at icky kind of aspects about the situation, maybe make you feel bad about something that you did or said, or maybe you're beating yourself up for something here. The avoidance is serving you in some way. It's a protective mechanism for something you would rather not feel. Knight of Swords. Maybe if you go into this place and you do this grieving or you address this trauma, you'd be really pissed off. And you're trying to stay in this high vibration, right? And you don't want to get in the low vibration of anger and all of that. Okay. Obstacle. The illusionist. Intuition. One second. I don't know how to say this really. For some of you, okay, this isn't for all of you. For some of you, whatever this whole thing is about, You've decided that somebody else is the obstacle in the situation, that they're not allowing you to transmute something. Again, that's like removing responsibility from yourself, right? And putting it on to someone else. That's just for some of you. Others of you, this is serving you because you feel like by going so far into spirituality or tarot readings or whatever it is, you're gaining a heightened sense of intuition. You're able to know things swiftly, speak clearly. Like you feel like you have a lot of spiritual wisdom now. That you're able to overcome the obstacle. But that's the point. It's like you can't go over something. You can't bypass something. You have to go through it. Well, you actually have to go within. Yeah, you have to go within. It's interesting here. It's like some mental gymnastics you're doing to yourself. And don't get me wrong, I've done this too, okay? When you do shadow work, most of us figure out that we've done stuff like this. You know, that's the point. So that we can stop ourselves, catch ourselves when we start to do it again. But this is like, yeah, it's like you're convincing yourself that maybe something's intuitively guided, or that something about not healing a particular situation is helping you grow your intuition, helping you dispel. It's like you're keeping something in the dark, a mystery, something I can't figure out what happened back there. Okay? It's like you're keeping that in that mystery of unknown. I don't know what happened back there, so you can tap into your intuition and like use that intuition to figure out that situation. Because if that situation didn't exist, if you knew what happened back there, then what would you use your intuition to figure out? Yes, for someone that's the case. So I get it though. It's interesting here. So it's like you have an obstacle or like a case study or an object that you can practice your intuition on. But Spirit's saying that that obstacle or that thing you can't figure out back there, you can, but you have to stay with the difficult feelings that come up around that. Transmuting that is not really solely a matter of intuition. It's a matter of feeling whatever comes up. Not trying to make sense of it, but feeling the emotions. I hope that makes sense, because that's something I'm seeing here. What an interesting reading, group 3. Okay. Like tarot also should never be stand-in for therapy, for example. You know, tarot is definitely useful for a lot of things, but some situations require different kinds of guidance, different kind of education that a person might have. A professional in psychology, for example, or trauma. You know, sometimes there are situations that we can't use spirituality to help us alone, on its own. We need a friend, we need a doctor, we need a therapist, we need, whatever it is to get us back to that place that we need to untangle and figure out. I don't know if I already said this, because I have recently been talking about this, but if I'm repeating myself, maybe you just need to hear it twice. But spirituality can be an easy way to dissociate from pain and trauma and grief. We go into this land of like cool concepts and abstract thinking. and symbolism and the collective unconscious. And we get like lost here. It's almost like an ungrounded feeling can be. And that can be dissociative, right? We could spend all day getting lost in stories about spirituality and not taking care of things that need to be taken care of, including our bodies, our minds. You know, we need to learn other things. And things that need to get done and be healed and stuff, right? Okay, let's see. How is it not serving you? Well, I think we know. Ten of Swords. Yeah, that's dealing with a difficult ending here or something. Source. The Novice. Love. Oh. Oh. You're going to learn something about love, yourself, self-love, which right now might just seem like a concept. Maybe you just don't really even know what that means exactly, but you will once you, maybe this isn't for all of you, but like once you stay with the Ten of Swords energy, or we should say the Nine of Swords, you stay with the Nine of Swords energy and work through that so that you can get to the Ten of Swords. You can get to that ending there. There's a lesson here in self-love. And what's not serving you is like you're not learning something here, the Novice. And with Source, it's almost like you think you know more than you do about something. A lot of us feel that way. We know nothing. Okay, we know nothing. Let's be honest. And isn't that a wonderful thing, not to know everything? Because how exciting is the rest of your life? There's so much to know and learn. And even then, the things you know could be challenged and you might have to learn something else. And it's not true after all. It's a big adventure. There's something here about feeling like maybe you have something figured out when you really don't. Not saying you haven't figured out things. Okay, you have figured out things, but there is something you haven't that you think you have. And it's something to do with love, something to do with self-love, maybe love in general here. And it also has something to do with understanding the significance here of that 10th sword, which it would be, if we're staying with the Nine of Swords, in comes that Ace of Swords, that epiphany, that realization that brings us to the 10 of Swords, the completion. So we need to stay with it. We need to recognize that Ace of Swords, that epiphany. So maybe in a concrete sense, some of you need to ground yourself more. It's not to disconnect from God or source or angels or, whatever. It's not to disconnect from that, but it's to ground yourself in something more concrete and tangible. Tools, to get some tools that you can use every day to help you work through something, not just ideas. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so how could you rewrite your story? The Hermit. Yeah. Going within. Grief. Guys. Abandonment. Fear. Holy. Spirit is loud and clear with this one. Loud and clear. Like, there's no denying this message, okay? Spirit is saying to rewrite your story, to get to this spiritual illumination, ascension, whatever it is that you're seeking and wanting for your soul's ascension and growth. You need to go within and grieve. Look at your abandonment wounds as well as what you fear. Do you fear being unloved? Do you fear being abandoned? If somebody doesn't love you, what does that mean for you? So what? So what if they don't love you? What does that mean to you? Where does that pain come from? And if it's not about someone not loving you, then you have to look at the fear of being alone or abandoned. When was the first time you felt abandoned in your life? When was the first time you felt fear in your life? Go back with the Six of Cups to that time there and grieve the loss of your innocence or the loss of your trust, the loss of something. Grieve it. It wasn't fair, right? It wasn't fair. It's okay to feel that way. This is probably real deep shit here with the Six of Cups, okay? And until we grieve these things, transmute the energy, heal them, they'll just keep reappearing, right? So we felt abandoned maybe by, let's take a very, common example, by a father figure in our life. Felt abandoned in some ways, shape, or form. Sometimes it's not so obvious how that abandonment occurred. Sometimes it's financial, emotional, physical, whatever it is. They left, right? He left. And then we find ourselves in romantic connections where we're with someone who's avoidant, who's dismissive, who's giving silent treatment, who's abandoning us, essentially. Not gender specific, could be anybody. Or we get into a career where we have a boss who gives us the cold shoulder, or friends who don't call us back, or whatever it is. And we feel that abandonment because it's in those new situations, because it triggers that old wound we haven't healed yet. So when you're in a connection and you feel like you love the person, but they're gone cold on you, yeah, that's hurtful in that connection, but it's so painful because it's triggering that old abandonment wound that hasn't been healed yet. That old abandonment wound that you haven't been allowed to grieve. Maybe you were told when you were a kid, chin up, get over it, or it's your fault, or whatever it was, right? That made you feel like you have no right to be upset. And so you pushed it down. But it's always going to come back up until you address it and deal with it. And addressing it could be feeling those feelings you felt when you were a kid. And that's pretty rough. It's sad. It sucks. It does. But it reconnects you with that part of yourself. And then you can tell that part of yourself how strong you really are. And that there's nothing to fear because you love you and you're not going to abandon you. So don't abandon you now by spiritually bypassing something that you need to grieve. Don't become the same people who told you you weren't allowed to grieve something by telling yourself you're not allowed to grieve something. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. But when you go there and you deal with that stuff, I don't know, you just gain like a real deep understanding of things. You get that illumination. Like you just understand things at a much deeper level. Not only yourself, but other people too. Because everybody's dealing with some kind of wound on some level. And what else happens when you deal with those things is you stop the cycle, right? You're aware of what's going on within you. You're aware of your triggers and why you're triggered. You're aware of your shadow and what it's trying to do. You're aware of all of that. And you're able to change that, transmute it into something that you want to be and want to feel. Okay. So let's see. How will this new story that you write, which is going to be dealing with that stuff, right, help your soul ascend? We have anxiety, Two of Cups, healing, the Weaver. You're going to weave something together, a healing journey. You're going to weave together all the pieces of you, all the parts of you. That part of you that got hurt at 4, that part of you that got hurt at 10, that part of you that got hurt at 15, and so on and so forth, yesterday, however, whatever, right? You're going to bring all those parts together instead of pushing them all into their dark corners and saying, shut up over there, you don't know what you're talking about. Get tougher, smarten up, instead of being a disciplinary to all those wounded parts, you're going to weave them together, bring them together, become whole. And realize your power and how strong you are here and what you can accomplish when you set your mind out to it. That's another thing. Healing, yes. Healing the anxiety. Maybe this is about a love connection here. Or you're another side of yourself that needs to heal. There's some low-key anxiety perhaps you haven't dealt with. Maybe you don't even recognize it. There's something about love here that's coming up. Connection to someone else. Or maybe the concept of love. Where there's some anxiety here. That's what you're going to heal. See, all the different pieces of yourself. You're going to bring them together. Oh, look, and weaving. And then we have her stitching on this person. Badges of honor. Weaving and stitching. This is so amazing. I'm hearing you're going to stitch yourself a warm blanket. I found this little thing too. You're going to stitch yourself a warm blanket. This is so beautiful. It's not the easiest message, but I can see that the story awaiting you is a big story of healing. But it's hard work, but you can do it or else Spirit wouldn't give you this message. Maybe you want to look more into that concept of spiritual bypassing. There's a book on it. I forget the author's name. I've only read the first chapter and a half, but it's pretty good. I'm aware of what the concept's all about. I have a problem not reading full books, like I tend to stop and not really get through the whole thing unless it's really good. Anyways, you might want to check that out. Anything else we need to say? I'm hearing no. I think that's your message. I love you so much. You got this. You're not doing it alone. Lots of people are here. Lots of people are here. I'll see you next time.